This is a video to show how to unassemble a Philips 244E monitor, a 24-inch LCD monitor. So this monitor is sandwiched together with plastic tab. There's no screw at all to remove the external casing. So the most effective tool that you can use is to use a knife. It will be better to use two knives or a flathead screwdriver. So the technique is towards the top. You start with the top first. So firstly is pry the knife in between the black plastic trim at the top, and also a metal holding the LCD panel. So slot it between them, and then after that go diagonal like this, and then lift up the knife to bend it towards these directions. And so there are several tabs that are snapped together and can open up by turning them diagonal sides. So start with this and in the middle of the monitor, and lift up the knife until you hear a snap, and proceed with the knife slowly along the edge of the LCD metal casing and below the plastic trim, and all the ways towards the left. And after that, reverse the knife, slot in between again, and slowly goes toward the right hand side. And when you go towards the edge, then you will have difficulty to remove it, as the other side of the monitor is going to hold the trim much closer together. Once you finish on the top end, then you will need to use another knife to slot under it. Let me turn the monitor. So then you need to use another knife, with one knife towards this end, prying out diagonal, and another knife try to slot in a diagonal directions into the slot, and then pry open it. So this will be how the tab looks like along the edge. So as I suspect there are some glue holding to the plastic tab. As I am moving the knife, at certain places I feel the knife is harder to slot in. So that is what I believe. So far I only break one of the tab. So after you finish the top, then you start, the next area to start is at the bottom. The bottom has a little two more tabs holding the panel at this and this end. So that is the only two areas that are harder to pry open, but the technique is still the same. Start with the center below the plastic and above the metal casing of the LCD panel, and after that use another knife to slot in diagonal and pry open. So pry open all the way and towards this end. You may be harder to pry open, but with two knives or a butter knife, you should be able to pry open them and towards the edge. And for me, it was able to snap open at one end, and then I'm open to turn it to the other side and open up the other side of the monitor. So this side of the plastic casing is harder to remove than the other one at the top at the bottom. Maybe the plastic is shorter, so they are much sturdier than before. And so once you do all the four sides, there's no surprises beside the sides of the monitor. Beside, they are much harder to remove, and then the entire panel should come out. And so this is how the other tab that's holding to the monitor, and one on this side. So these two tabs that are snapping into it are at the bottom of the plastic trim. Then you will have the monitor in front of you, and one thing that will be has a wire connector is towards this front power control panel. So I already removed it. Let me show you the wiring. I disconnected it. So let me show you the behind first. So at this panel, there is a power connector that you have to press it and remove it. But I would recommend to disconnect to lift up the entire board. And so there's no screw and just a metal tab right here and right here, a small through hole plastic that holding the control board. So I will recommend to remove it and leave it hanging. Only then you remove the connector. So in terms of this connecting, let me flip it up, show you the connector. So this is how the connector looks like. So there is a tab towards the end that you have to press, only then you can pull it out. So you can also slot in a fingernail in between into the tab, and then slide out the power connector, and pretty much then you get the entire monitor removed. Let me flip it open, and you will be able to see the entire monitor come out. Flip it over, remove another plastic casing, and here it is. That is the inside. And subsequently, this model has a speakers, and the speaker connects to a control board. One for the power, where there is a power connector at this edge, and then these are the VGA input. So there is a control board here and another circuit board here. Before you remove this metal casing, you need to disconnect 4 pair of wires. Again, there is a plastic tab again towards the top. You have to press and pull out the cable, and if you cannot pull it out, use the knife, slot into the connector diagonally and press the tab. That will give you more leverage to remove the cable. And so once the cable are detached, and this is the front panel cable, so detach this one, this 4 pair, and then you are ready to move on to the next step, which is a Phillips screw on one at each side towards the bottom of the monitor. Let me show you the screw, and so one at this side. So next is this VGA panel main connector. So there are metal tab at each end that you have to press and disconnect the cable. So here it is, one for the VGA board, one for the power board, and there are some speaker wire to the VGA board, another signal cable and power cable from the power control circuit board. So be careful about the capacitor, as there is a built-in capacitor towards this end where you see a white line. That towards this side of the circuit board is from the two wall power input. Be careful about touching the capacitor ends, as they are still energized potentially, unless you leave it there for a day. And then one screw, two screw, three screw, and then there is a plastic tab at here that you have to remove, and there's another metal plate that is blocking it, that you have to remove it. And so let me see if I can show you. It's pretty easy to remove, and so you flip it out, maybe with a knife again, and then this panel will be loosened. Another knife again. Okay, so it come out. So as you can see, there is just some metal holes that's holding the plate. So this plate will you have, after you remove that plate, then this power plug will be nothing but holding it, and you can remove this board after you press on this plastic tab. 3 screws here to remove this board. For this board, beside these 3 screws, then the bolts that you have to remove are the VGA connectors. One for the HDMI, then 2 for the DVI, 2 for the VGA 15 ports connector, and that's all.